Okay, so the recording has started. So today's topic is, how to start your homeopathic business, and then some different feedback with taking acute cases. So acute meaning not chronic. So just kind of some notes that I have here to start with. A lot of times, like for me, what I did when I started my homeopathic business is I pretty much went through the school at Caduceus Institute of Classical Homeopathy. Now I had done 1.5 years studying with Kyron Weed, he treated me and my family. And then I went through module 1 now there's, I think 6 or 7, I don't remember how many modules at Caduceus, but I felt like I had a good enough knowledge, and with the muscle testing, I was able to, at least help some people at that point. I had a good amount of knowledge. So that's kind of when I started. So a lot of people think, well, I need to finish. I need to have, a lot of times people don't really know if you have 1 certificate on the wall or 2, what that means. So, I mean, as long as you feel confident enough to take certain clients and try things, you're not going to really ever hurt anybody. So that's kind of, for me, the point when you feel like ready to help people and do that on your own. Now, some things that I had to do when I decided to get started was business cards, which were really helpful. And I'll just show you what mine looks like here. So I just put homeopathic services, Longview, Katie Cunha, CPH, which is certified professional homeopath. Now, when I first started, I didn't have that title yet. It was just, I put on there certified in acute homeotherapeutics. So, you can put whatever you want, but I don't really recommend putting words like, I try to kind of stay away from things that sound like new agey. Because I know when I first started doing naturopathic and acupuncture and stuff like that, if I walked in and there's like a Buddha in somebody's office and they're talking about being a healer, I was just a little bit more like I was like, okay, I don't know, but those things are fine. But for me, I just kind of wanted to go that route of really saying I was a homeopathic practitioner. So that's the wording that I used. And then I just put my name, my address, my phone number, email, and my website. And then on the back, I just put I love Hahnemann's quote, which is the highest ideal of cure is a speedy, gentle, enduring restoration of health by the most trustworthy, least harmful way. I just thought that kind of described what I want to do in my business. Now, a great website to start with that's free is called WordPress. Now, there's lots of them out there, but I like that one. I like their layouts and everything, and I've been using it for years. Been having some trouble lately with them, but otherwise they've been really good. I made sure I had my waivers, and I've sent those out to you before. If there's some new people here, I know there's a few new people here today. So, I have this waiver. I can send it to you if you want. I have people sign that if I feel like I'm a little bit nervous about taking their case and I don't want to be liable for anything, then I will have them sign that. Make sure you have a good amount of remedies before you start. So I recommend getting a remedy maker. Now, actually, Marissa asked a really good question. She sent me a couple of questions before starting today. That she heard some other, what was it, I think Tone Jansen or somebody in his book said that he didn't think remedy makers were as good and they were inferior to other remedies. I don't agree with that. I've tested and tried them out on myself and other people. I find that they work just the same. So I like the remedy makers. You can get, I think it's $900 to $1,000, and then you pretty much never have to buy remedies again. So, because you can buy a kit like this, with 100 remedies in it, and you're going to spend, I don't know, $300 some on that. Now, those will last you a long time, but it's only covering 100 remedies. So you don't have that kind of ability. Like if somebody comes in to be able to say, oh, I need this lac delphinium, which is from dolphin's milk. And that person really, I think I need to test them on that because it fits their case and they have these unique symptoms. If you don't have that remedy, you can't help them that day. You're going to have to order it and spend more money and get the right potencies. But if I say, okay, I'm going to go test it out, then I muscle test it on them. if they need it, I can make it in all the potencies and give it to them that day, and it helps them a lot faster than buying kits. So I'm a big fan of the machine, but kits are fine too if you want to go that way. I do like making LM potencies, but I think those are, I think they're superior to C's, but if you don't have an LM, then use the C, that's fine. Let's see, the zoning, city, home, business. So make sure you contact your city when you want to start your homeopathic practice, and talk to them that you'd like to, what is it? You have to talk to them about having a home business and just getting your house zoned for it. And what that needs to entail. And they'll tell you exactly what you need to do. The only thing, at least here in Texas, they just don't want you putting your address on your website, but otherwise everything is fine. And you can't have more than one family in your house at a time. So they don't want you like having a shop here in your house, you know, like selling a lot of things.
Did you say Texas or Longview?
I mean, I think it's, I don't know, maybe it could be just Longview. But that's
for the address.
Yeah, so look up, I guess just call your city and see what, you know, find the zoning department and say, I want to declare that I have a home business. Now, I think some people get like a, what was it, an LPH or LP, where you declare yourself a business. I'll have to.
Are you talking about an LLC?
LLC. Did you talk to me about that, Tracy? No, that was somebody else.
Well, my mother she lives next door, and she has an interior plantscaping business, and they just declared, she hasn't been an LLC, but for a couple of years. So I'm not sure what she declared before that, but that it costs a little bit more to become an LLC, but it covers you a lot better as far as liability.
Yeah. That's right. I just found it. So you can talk to your county clerk and declare yourself an LLC, and you get sole proprietorship. And I guess here in Longview, it's only $30, like total. And then you get, I guess you get extra like coverage on some different things. So I'm going to look into that myself. That's kind of new to me. Now, I didn't make a business account on my bank. Some people do that also. I just chose not to do that, but some people do for tax purposes. But we do for like taxes every year. We just write ourselves as a, you know, like holistic health coach, because there's not really a homeopathic practitioner option in our state. Now, California would be different, I think.
Katie?
Yeah.
Elisa's trying to get on.
Oh,
and she said, could you let her in? Thank you.
I just did. Thank you. Okay, she's good. You know, I always put my certificate on the wall. Just, you know, I think the more certificates people can see, you feel more comfortable, like the person's a professional. I like to have my office seem like a doctor or a counselor's office. So I put toys for kids in the house, and I try to, you know, I let some people come in the house, but I try to kind of have my office near the doorway so people don't really have to enter my home. And the nice thing about having a home office is you can write a lot of stuff off. So even things like my childcare for the first couple of years, I could write that off. Even some of your electric and heating bills, you can write off. You know, having your house cleaned, which I do every week because I can't handle all of it with being all the different things I do. So that can be written off. So there's lots of different things you buy for your business. Your machine you buy for your business could be written off. So try to think about those things. Anything you spend money on to support your business, tax-wise, can be a write-off. Now, the way I got started was just pretty much referrals. What I did is I just said, hey, I need guinea pigs. People love to help you out, especially like in a church or something. So I posted on the women's ministry page, hey, I need guinea pigs. I'm studying to be a homeopath. Does anybody want to try it out? And I got like maybe 3 or 4 people that way. And I mean, if you get like a good 5, and then you use some friends and family, a good 5 people to start, and you just dedicate yourself to being like 100% successful, make sure you have success with those people. Make sure you have validity with them with homeopathy. So they're not going to know probably what homeopathy is. You have to really make it show people the scientific side of homeopathy. I don't like to even say things like energy medicine. I don't think I've ever used that phrase. I always say frequency medicine. I talk about how it's very accepted in Europe. You know, how Einstein is the one who came up with the idea that frequency medicine would be the way of the future. I have people watch this video called, what is it? Water Memory with Dr. Luc Montagnier. Spelled, and you can look that up on YouTube, Water Memory. Look up Dr. Luc. He's a Nobel Prize winning laureate. He did AIDS work in Africa. And if people are like, I don't know, this just seems kind of hokey and voodoo to me, say, look, this is scientific medicine. This is medicine that, you know, we're not familiar with in this country. In Europe, they are. You know, I'll tell them that a lot of people, you know, a lot of the mainstream doctors will use it over there. There's even in the UK, a homeopathic hospital. So just, you know, really give it some validity for people and tell stories. So for me, when I'm starting out with people, if I can give them a good 2 or 3 really good stories, they're not made up stories, of course, they're actually stories of clients that had success. And so say, you know, yes, allergies. Oh, you have allergies? Yes, I've had a lot of success with that. I've actually, you can give them like stats too. So I've treated, you know, maybe 70 people with allergies, or you're not going to say that, but you can say that maybe the person who trained me in this method has treated allergies all the time. They almost have a 100% success rate or a 95% success rate. If people feel like this works and you get rid of your allergies forever, you know, they'll give you a shot, and then give them an estimate of how long it's going to take. So, you know, this might take 8 months. So just hang in there. It's going to get worse before better, but we can, as long as they have the hope that I could get rid of my allergies for the rest of my life, they're going to stick with it. Let's see what else. Yeah. So, and referrals are best. I like, yeah, sometimes I had only a few times actually out of all the people I've treated that people just found me on a website and didn't know, and hadn't heard about me, wanted to try it out. Those were actually some of my not so good cases, because they just were like, kind of like, oh, I don't know, you know, this, and they just didn't end up maybe coming back, or it didn't work out or something. So I love referrals. Definitely. My schedule looks like during the week. Now, when I first got started, I took a lot of acute cases. So if people, you know, I say, hey, if you're ever sick, or I heard about a friend on Facebook was like, oh, my kid's got an ear infection, I would message them and say, hey, do you need help with that? I'm actually looking for people to practice on. I have some great remedies. You know, ear infections can sometimes get cleared up within a few hours with homeopathy, which is true. You know, maybe, and I keep my prices really low in the beginning. So I think I was doing, now this was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I was doing like $25 for any chronic or acute case. And then, you know, as the more I got my certification and experience, I changed my prices that way. But yeah, now I do like 4 clients a day and then 2 on Saturday. But when I first started, I would just take whoever and just try to get as many people in as you could. But there's a really good app out there that I know people use, and it's like like a website or an app, and you can actually have times opening times in your schedule, and people can actually just plug into that to try and get like these kind of acute cases in. You know, I don't remember what it's called. I'll have to ask one of my naturopath friends. Let's see. Oh, and I always send a reminder like a day in advance for people. Otherwise, they'll forget. If you're meeting with them only once a month, they'll never remember. It's very hard. Let's see. And you know, don't take things personally when people don't come back, because they're just, for different reasons, they're going to think they found something else they want to try or whatever. And so that was something for me when I first started. I would be really upset and sad if somebody decided, you know, they didn't show up for their appointment. I'd be like, oh, I went through all that explanation. I really thought they were gonna give it a try, and they just gave up. And you know, what did I do wrong? Maybe I didn't say the right thing. Some people are just not gonna be on board, and that's okay. Just move, you know, they're leaving you a spot to help somebody else that really wants it. Now, if it's an acute only case, but you do see a lot of different symptoms, try to find the biggest main cause first. So for example, somebody comes in and they're really worried about their child has a bad cough. And they're just coughing and coughing and coughing. It's been going on for weeks. I see this a lot. Well, look for drainage. So follow the drainage is always my my philosophy, because it's funny because my girls were a case of this last week. We had to miss Thanksgiving because they were sick and I just couldn't figure it out. Well, usually I'm used to seeing them, if they have a cough, I see drainage. I see them going, or, you know, a sniffle, or if they got a sinus infection or something. Well, I wasn't seeing any drainage and they were coughing and then they had a ear infection. So I was like, what's going on? You know, I didn't see it. Well, it was post-nasal sinus infection. So either it could be a sinus infection, front or back. Okay, it could be allergies, front or back. Some people have allergies, you don't see it here. You see it when they open their mouth, you see it draining down the back of the throat. Or it could be change in temperature. So there's like 3 reasons why, you know, you're having this cough that won't go away. Now, lung infection could be, but usually if it's just that, it's usually caused by a sinus infection or something else, or some kind of virus that will eventually go away. But if you're seeing like weeks and weeks of coughing, look for the drainage first. Second, figure out why it's there. So if it's a sinus infection, if it's like going on for a long time, try your sinus infection remedies. So if it's post-nasal, you're looking for your calibichromicum, your hydrastis. Now, if it's frontal, I always check, like, you know, calibichromicum, allium cepa, those kind of sinus infection ones in the front. And then if that's not coming up, then and ask if there's allergies in the family. If there's allergies in the family, then I would test that first. Yeah, Jay? Oh, hold on, you're muted here. Can you okay. I'm asking, oh no.
Is that good?
Okay, now I can hear you. Yeah.
You said it went by it really quick. When there is drainage from the front, you said Cali.
Bichromicum.
Oh, so you would do Cali-Bic for post.
For front, yeah, front and back. That's
Okay.
a good one for both.
Okay, I was making sure I heard it right. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe I misspoke. Okay, so yeah, once you kind of, if you'd ruled out sinus infection, look at allergies. Now allergies, I have those remedies on my website, so you know what to test for allergies. And I would just pick the top 2 or 3. Don't test 12 remedies for allergies and sit and wear out their arm. If it's not allergies, then especially if it's fall, I see this all the time in the fall. Like right now, I'm still seeing cases of change in temperature. So people, you know, the kids get up in the morning, or adults even. My husband went through this years ago, where he'd get up in the morning and it'd be cold from a warm bed, and the nose gets kind of cold, the body gets cold, and your nose starts running. So people would tell me, oh yeah, I have a sniffling nose in the morning. Okay, well those are 3 remedies. Those are either dulcamara, DULCAMARA, Mercurius iodatus flavus, and the last one is Carbolicum acetum. And it's always one of those 3. Yeah,
Can you
Tracy?
say those again? I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Can you say?
no problem.
Yeah.
First one is dulcamara. Second one, Mercurius iodatus flavus. That's a funny one. And number 3 is Carbolicum acetum. Okay, so I give those, and sometimes if people, I can't fit them in, I'll just say, go get those 3 remedies, take them in a 30C every other day for 3 weeks. And that usually clears it up. And we want the noses to be dry. So I tell them, if they're still sniffling, keep going. Go get those remedies in a higher potency. Yeah.
How many pellets do you tell them to take? I know
Just
that the
1.
label says 5, but you usually say 1.
Yeah, 1 pellet once a day. Make sure they're avoiding all the antidotes. So you know, mint, tea tree oil, menthol, eucalyptus, and staying away from a lot of radiation. and do that 1 pellet 30C every other day for 3 weeks. And I'll even post that on my website for people because I just know it's such a big thing. I hear so many people complaining, my child has a cough, it won't end, I don't know what to do. It's not a chest infection. We went to the doctor and they got him x-rayed, nothing's wrong. It's, you know, they can't figure it out. Well, it's just because the nose is running into the lungs. If you can keep the nose dry all the time, then your kids won't get so sick. And, you know, so that's my goal with a lot. I mean, I see just so many of those clients. So that's a really good thing when they have cough. Do not treat the cough because then, oh, would that be for a horse cough also, or without cough? Would that be for her? Yeah, hoarse voice. Oh, she said a hoarse voice. She said with, yeah, possibly. Yeah, because you're gonna, I mean, that drainage is gonna cause all kinds of problems. It's gonna cause ear infections, it's gonna cause sore throat, it's gonna cause hoarse voice, it's gonna cause coughing, any kind of cough. So what I tell people, get the nose dry. And then once the nose is dry, front and back, there's no more drainage coming out, then the cough will resolve itself. So when they come in and you're just looking at the cough, oh, when do you increase the potency from a 30C, Tracy's asking? I would do 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks. Now, when the nose is dry, the cough will get better. Now, what a cough looks like when it's getting better, when it's productive, that's good. So if the nose is dry and the cough is productive, good, get that stuff out. I tell people, oh, it's a very, you know, rattly cough. Good, let them cough it up. Don't use cough suppressants and stuff like that. Let them get it out. The next day or the next couple of days, it will be dry. Okay, when it's dry and irritated and tickling and there's no drainage, just let that go. Now, you can use remedies to support them to get it out faster, especially if they're weak because they've been coughing and sneezing for a long time. But I would not, in acute cases, I would not start with treating a cough unless I cleared up the nose first. Unless it was just a viral lung infection, you know, something like that. Then I would do it, but always look at the nose. So another issue like that with acutes is, you know, let's say the person has high blood pressure and they have migraines all the time. Are you going to treat blood pressure? No, you're going to treat the migraines. Blood pressure is secondary. Primary is the swelling that's going on in the body. So there are certain things that are just the natural effects of something else happening. So you always look for that underlying, like, what do I really want to solve here to solve their problem? You can bring their blood pressure down. Yeah, they'll be happy with you for a few days. But if it stays there, you're not going to really actually heal them at all. Another one, yeah, sore throat. Same thing. People come in with like really sore throat, but if they're having drainage, you know, now there's strep throat cases. Of course, you treat the strep throat. That's fine. I had another case where the lady kept coming in for this hand pain. And so naive as I was, I'm treating hand pain and doing all these remedies for arthritis and hand pain. I wasn't seeing any difference. Every time she come in, she'd say, oh, my hand pain is still there. And I don't know, I feel like it works and then it doesn't work. Well, she would hold her, well, first she would type on the computer and it was like probably 8 hours a day. She'd be typing on this certain keyboard that was not ergonomically, you know, correct. And then she'd be holding her phone all the time like this. And so I said, where does it hurt? You know, after like 3 or 4 visits of this, and she had other stuff too, but this hand pain was just a constant thing. And I was like, tell me, what's the thing that hurts the most that you do? Oh, when I type in the computer and I hold my phone. And I'm like, well, then we just said, you know, just fix that sometimes and then deal with the remedies and put heat on it. And then, you know, the next month she came in, her hands were fine because she fixed the problem underlying it. So sometimes as a homeopath, you're playing like a detective, trying to figure out, why is this person's pain there? Do they need to change their behavior in some way? Do they need to, you know, do I need to look at something deeper than what they're just telling me? Okay, so when I prescribe for acute cases, it's different than chronic. So I kind of talked to you guys before, when I give a chronic case, I'm going to give maybe like 3 or 4 remedies per bag. I give those every 8 days, and I do 3 baggies. So it kind of lasts you through like 3 to 4 weeks. When I give acutes, I give every 1 to 2 days, and I also give 3 doses. So like, let's say somebody comes in and they had a, like I was talking about, like runny nose and a cough. Well, let's say they test for 3 different remedies, maybe the calibicromicum, because it's a sinus infection, and then they also test for like spongia for the cough. Okay, let's say they test for them in a 1M potency. I'm going to put those in little baggies, 3 little baggies, and the dates I'm going to put on are going to be for the next day, and the next day, and the next day. So I do 3 days in a row. So that's pretty much how I do acutes, and I don't really go any longer than that. And then what I'll do is I'll write on their envelope, calibicromicum, spongia, or if there was another one. And I say, if your problem continues more than this next 3 or 4 days, which I don't think it will, because when you're using like a 1M, it usually can knock it out. Then go get these remedies and continue on with a 30C, because that's all they're going to be able to find at the store, and do it every day. Because when you're doing acutes, you don't have to do it every other day. Every day for the next, until it resolves itself. And then I'll tell them, now if it doesn't resolve, then let me know. So you always want to have a happy customer. You always want to have people say, I went to this homeopath and they fixed it. You know, if you didn't fix it in the very beginning, when I was first starting my practice, I would even text people the next day, say, hey, how are you feeling? I don't do that anymore. Sorry, people that are my clients. I only see you 5 weeks later. I don't have time for that now. But yeah, so, you know, text them the next day, see how they're doing. And sometimes people will be like, oh, it's way worse. Okay, well, what does worse mean? Well, the cough is really, you know, sounding so bad now. Okay, is the nose clear? Yeah, the nose actually dried up. Talk them through it a little bit. If you need to call them, need to text them, say that's actually a good sign. You know, we want the nose to dry up. The body's actually getting stronger. It's not here in the nose anymore, putting all its effort into clearing out this infection. That effort that was here has now moved here. So we're getting double time, double the amount of work in the lungs. It's going to become more productive. Just let it ride. Put some heat on the chest, give them a hot bath, let them sleep, let them cough. And so people get nervous too at night when they say, oh, at night they're coughing more. That's good. Just give them these little reassurances. When you're laying down, gravity is actually pulling the mucus upwards. Okay, when they say, oh, it's so much better when they sit up. What does better mean? Better means they're not coughing, because coughing makes us uncomfortable. Well, for me, I actually would prefer to lay down. Sometimes I have my kids tip themselves over. Now, if you have somebody who's in a real bad cough, try to have them do that. Say, tip yourself a little bit upside down. Take big deep breaths and cough that stuff out as much as you can. Now, you don't want to hurt yourself, but gravity can help the mucus get out. So always keep that in mind. And sometimes that kind of tickling cough is just because the lungs are irritated. So my best advice for them then, drink hot liquids and hot food. Don't eat or drink anything cold. Because once this is all irritated and inflamed, inflammation wants heat to finish what it's doing. So don't drink cold things, eat cold things. That's actually going to make the tickle worse. Eat and drink hot, put heat, and the tickle will calm down because you're giving it what it actually wants. So always trying to work with the body, talk people through these different things. Let's see. Oh yeah, and sometimes I would have, like I said, sometimes I'd have people come back in. I don't do that much anymore because I'm much better at figuring it out. But in the beginning, you know, 3 or 4 days later, that person's not better. Just come back in for a quick little, I'm just going to muscle test you and for like maybe 5 or 6 remedies, and we're going to figure this out. So you want to, you know, make sure that you figure that out with them. And do it for free, you know, come back in, don't charge them. Just keep them happy, make sure they stay healthy. Now, if you get people contacting you in a very anxious way, those are the worst things for me. When people oh my gosh, my daughter's this and that. And I'm just, it like kind of brings my stress up, you know, to hear that, because I'm worried. I don't want to see him suffering. Always give different options to try. So for example, I had a woman in here this morning whose daughter, and we've been working with hives for her chronic issue for about a year now, and she's 90% better. So she had this chronic hives, and it was from cold temperatures. So she'd go out in the cold, she'd get hives head to toe, burning, itching all the time. It was debilitating for this little girl. Well, here we are a year into it. We're getting all excited because she's almost done. We're doing so well. And I gave her Serenum for the first time. She tested for it. I tested her before many times, which is really good for like skin and allergies and gut and all this stuff. Well, I wasn't worried about it because I felt like she's doing so well. Gave it to her, didn't think a thing of it. The next day, the mom is just frantic, sending me 20 pictures of this girl and all this welts she's got everywhere and all this stuff happening. Just what do I do? And my husband's upset and he wants to go to the emergency room and blah, blah, blah. And it's just kind of taking those, you know, that's a good thing, trying to talk them through again. We did use it, look back in your file and try to figure out why is this happening? What is the body doing? For me, it's never like you did something wrong. It's always like, if the body wanted it, if I muscle tested, that child I know tested for that. It's something good. And I have to try and figure out what it is. So we tried for a couple days of maybe she took her next dose earlier. Okay, now that's really important. Sometimes what you can do is, let's say you have a client that, let's say you're working with acute or chronic, and you feel like they got better, or maybe they actually got way worse and they just stayed worse. What can you do to help them get through that? Now, some homeopaths might say to you, oh, give an antidote, go take some mint. For me, that would mean I didn't give the right remedy. But if I tested that remedy and I know that potency that they wanted, I double checked, I could feel it in their body, then they're like halfway healed. So when you're in that point where you're just kind of like halfway and the body's just sitting there trying to detox or work on something, and it's just taking a long time. Sometimes if you give them another dose of the same exact thing, it can just boom, finish it. So that's a really good piece of advice. I didn't learn that till maybe a year into my practice, where I just kind of let people hang on. And now I'm like, hey, take the next dose early. So let's say they're 3 days away from their next dose. You take it earlier and boom, somehow they just get better because it finished the job. So always kind of think about that. The same thing with acutes. You know, if you're feeling like every day is not enough and that person needs it twice a day, then bump up the timeline a little bit. You know, see if you can just hit it a little bit harder. So yeah, this case with this little girl, so she called frustrated, and then sometimes I had to bring her in this morning. I didn't really have time for it, but the mom was so frantic and crying on the phone and sending me all these pictures, and the dad was going to take her in the emergency room. So I'm like, okay, bring her in. I'm pretty sure I knew what it was, but it really took me like 10 minutes. I knew it was Serenum, and I was right. We just needed to go up another potency. She was like in an LM 500, which is about halfway to the LM 1000. We went up to an LM 700, and I'm pretty sure tomorrow she's going to be way better. I don't know that. She, you know, I sent her home and just told her to hang in there. We're closer than we've ever been. You know, these kind of things, just helping people to hang in there, because to do homeopathy and really heal from this stuff, it takes a lot of grit. Sometimes. Now, sometimes it's easy and that's great, but sometimes it's not. Now, I had another lady with antibiotic damage, and she had a lot of vaginal pain. And it was over the phone. I felt like I couldn't help her. And no matter what I said, no matter what I had her try other remedies just to get through some of the pain of it. But I kind of lost that one. But it's harder when I didn't have a good referral. She was out of town. So you're gonna, you know, sometimes people can't take it. Let's see. Okay. Now, if you have somebody comes in with a chronic and an acute at the same time, what do you do? For me, I'm going to try and treat both depending on the acute. So sometimes people come in, they give you a laundry list of problems. Oh, the migraines that I have, and the diarrhea that I have, and allergies and my feet hurt all the time and my elbow hurts and my neck hurts and all these different things. I mean, you're not going to repertorize and go in your computer program and put all these symptoms in there. You're going to try and focus on the most important ones that you feel like you can fix, and that will help fix other problems. So I'll give you an example. I had a client named Randy, and he came in and he had all kinds of different things, like a lot of emotional problems. His wife actually brought him in because they were on the verge of divorce. But yet he kept having like this feet pain. But yet he had, allergies and anger issues and digestive issues and sleep issues and energy issues, like all these other things. But he kept telling me about this feet pain. And I just didn't look it up because once he told me he's on his feet 12 hours a day, I'm thinking to myself, well, if you're on your feet 12 hours a day, of course your feet are going to hurt. I'm not going to look that up. So we talked, I just kind of ignored it. So certain symptoms you're just going to ignore for people. You're just not really going to treat it. So I knew when he came in, his wife is about to divorce him. So I need to work on this guy's emotions first. So when he came in, my priority was to get him less angry so they don't have a failed marriage. I knew I needed to get him some more energy. So, I focused on like energy and anger were kind of my priorities. And then you look at, gut is always a priority for me, and detox, depending on if the person's had a lot of exposure to different things. Now, his wife came in with some of her chronic stuff, but she had a neck injury. Okay, so this is different. I kind of ignored his acute problem, but with hers, she had just gone through where she had like fallen down or something and a week ago, and her neck it was in such pain. It was just, she couldn't hardly do anything. She couldn't go to work. She couldn't do anything. And she'd done the chiropractor. She'd done different things already, and it wasn't working. So for me, that I treated, but I also had to treat some of her other stuff too. So she had still her gut stuff going on, still some hormonal stuff going on. So how do you treat an acute and a chronic in the same appointment? I usually just pick like 4 acutes to deal with. So for hers, I pulled out my arnica. I pulled out, my rust tox. I pulled out bryonia and ruta. So those are the ones I'm usually going to use for like injuries, sprains, stuff like that. Now, she tested for arnica and I think bryonia. And she tested pretty high. Arnica was an MM potency and bryonia was a 10M. Then I did 8 remedies for her of her chronic stuff. So you don't really want to put in people's baskets to test them more than like 12 remedies. Then you're going to hurt your arm and hurt their arm. So I picked 4 for the acute, 3 or 4 for the acute, 8 for her chronic. And then I tested her acute first. So once I got her acute remedies out of the way, I tested all 4. I gave them to her. Then I set those aside. Now we're kind of done with her acute issue. Because I knew, you can't be not working and stuff like that. We need to figure that out. Now, and then I tested her chronic stuff and gave her that. Now, when I laid out her doses, this is how it looked. I gave her an acute one for the next day. So the arnica bryonia for the very next day. Then I gave her another arnica bryonia the next day. Now you think to yourself, you only usually send 3 bags, right? You're sending 2 already. Now, what I do for people is I offer extra doses in those occasions because they have a lot of different things going on. I don't really want to miss out on giving them chronic for the rest of the month because I gave them 3 acutes at the beginning first week. I want to still address both things. So then what I do is I do $10 an extra bag, which has got your 2 or 3 remedies or whatever in there. And now if people don't want to do that, then I'll just do, okay, here's your one acute and I'll do 2 chronic, you know, so I'll do the next day, I'll give them an acute and I say, okay, if you want to deal more with this, you can go to the natural store, get some arnica and bryonia, and you can take it the rest of the week. But usually people are in so much pain, they will just pay the extra money to give you, you know, because you're treating 2 different things. You have to let people know that you could have a whole case just for that neck pain. You could do a whole appointment just for that. So try to make it work where you can just give them both. So you're going to do the next day, the following, you know, 2 or 3 days with the acute, and then do your chronics every 8 days or every week and space that out. So you're kind of really treating them now. And now I would tell them, don't start treating your chronic until the acute is gone. I really don't like people, if they're still sick. So let's say they have a flu and they happen to they should be taking a dose that day. I don't really like them taking that dose that day, because it's kind of like you're giving the body those 3 or 4 tasks to do. And if the body is sick, it doesn't have, you know, ain't nobody got time for that. You ever see those YouTube videos? The body doesn't have time or energy to do those tasks or do them well. So you know, and I tell people those dates are not set in stone. You can work around them. So if you want to push it back a week, go ahead. That's why I kind of leave a little space at the end of the month. They don't have to be exactly taken on those 8 days. Okay. So yeah, and my prices now are usually $60, and I do 4 doses, including the doses you get in the office visit. Now, some people are really hard up for money, and so I'll do like $50, and then I just, you know, 2 extra bags. I'll do that for them too. But most of the time people want more, and I want to give them more too, because I want them to be able to work their way up, you know, through those potencies. Okay, let me go through. I have Marissa's email I wanted to check in with. Does anybody have any questions so far? You can go ahead and unmute yourself if you want to, if you need to.
I just have one question about your business. Just how, because you have a family, and so I assume you set limits. So like, how many people do you say I'm only going to see 3 people a day? Or, I mean, how do you manage?
I do 4 people a day. So my appointments are 9:30 and 10:30 in the morning, just because I know when I have to drop my kids off and I can get home and get ready. And then I do appointments at 2:30 and 4, because I know when I have to pick up my kids from school. But I like that schedule. That works for me because I have a big chunk of time during the day. So I have between 11:30 and 2:30. I know I can go to the store, I can get my lunch ready, I can, you know, get some clothes or food, or take my youngest child to the park or something. So, and you know, 4 o'clock, my husband always gets on me about my 4 o'clock appointments. He hates them because that's when everybody's here.
Yeah.
But a lot of people get out of work or they get out of school, and then my husband's like, well, they don't go to the doctor, and they have to, you know, go to the doctor and take off work and school too. So you shouldn't accommodate them with that 4 o'clock time. But when people are meeting with you every month, I try to accommodate that 4 o'clock time, because I know what it means to me, you know, to kind of have that available and not be taking my kids out of school every month. If I'm going to see this person for a year or 2 years, and every month I got to be pulling them out of school during the day, that's kind of a hassle. So,
Yeah.
so I do that. And then Saturdays, I do 2 appointments. I do like usually at 10 o'clock and at 11 o'clock. Sometimes I do like a 1 o'clock after I ate lunch. And that seems to work. And then sometimes if people cancel and I'm just tired that day, I just don't fill it. Now, a great idea for filling appointments that I love is get a, if, you know, let's say you have a Facebook group for your clients. And then let's say somebody cancels and somebody else is like, hey, can I get in for my kids, you know, kids are sick or whatever. I have a cancellation page. So if you ever get to the point where you have like a waiting list or something, then it's like, I can just go and and put an opening on there. Say, hey, I got an opening tomorrow at 3 o'clock. If anybody needs it, and they'll just comment and say, yeah, I want it. Can you set me up? So it saves you, because man, it is so hard. Chloe, honey, go ask Papa, please. Sorry. Because it's very hard to fill cancellations. I used to have like a list of people that wanted to get in. So let's say they couldn't make their appointment, but the rest of my month is booked. So it's really hard for me to say, oh, just come in tomorrow. That's not possible. So I'm going to be killing myself if I do that. And I'm really strict with my time. So if you can't come, I'm sorry. I probably won't be able to see you for another 5 weeks, because that's just my schedule. And I just don't want to, it's not worth sacrificing my family and my time for. Everybody's always going to have problems. Don't forget that. Always somebody's going to need help with something every day. So don't stress yourself out and your family out because they need help. Try to send them, give them other things to do, to try. Just say I'm sorry sometimes. But yeah. Anything else?
Interesting. Thank you.
Yep.
I thought you saw
have
a
a
lot
question.
more.
Oh, sorry, Ashley, did you say something?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I have a question. I
Yeah.
hope I don't know if I interrupted somebody.
No, you're fine.
Okay. I actually have a few. The first one, I think you said this earlier and I just missed it. But at what point did you, and I know that you said your fees were super low, like $25 at that point, but at what point in your education did you actually start seeing clients and, charging them?
Once I felt like once I got I think I kind of slowly just increased my prices over time. So when I got like 50 people under my belt, or like 100 people under my belt, I think I went up just because I had the experience and I felt like I was getting more successful and my time was more valuable.
Yeah.
So then I think I went up to like 35. And sometimes I would only go up on my new clients. So like my regulars, now that's hard to keep, figured out who's new and who's old, but and I think the next one was definitely once I got my next certification. So then when I got the foundations of homeopathy with my 300 hours, then I went up definitely to, I was for sure like 50 or 55, something around there. But, as you feel like you're ready and you're feeling like, you know what, I'm helping these people and it's worth more than $25. You got a good amount of people under your belt, or you got a full schedule, then up it. And I would not feel bad about doing that, because they can't even go get a copay at the doctor for less than $50 a lot of times. And they're not even getting the kind of help and the attention that you're able to give them with homeopathy and the time. So I would just kind of play it by ear with yourself, but I think that's kind of how it went with me. Now I've seen right now probably about 750 people, and it's been about 5 years. But if you think about that, how many people per year to get to that point? Now, some people I've had for a long time, they've been with me for years because their issues are just difficult. And, but yeah.
Okay, so like at this point, I haven't finished my acute certification yet, but I'm making good progress. I mean, I'll be finished soon with that. But
Yeah.
at this point, I haven't charged anybody, but I have helped. Of course, I've treated my family and myself for years, but I've helped a few other like friends and family and I don't charge them anything because I don't have any kind of certification or anything, and it's good practice for me, so I don't charge anything.
Yeah.
But I was just kind of wondering, like, do I need to wait until I have, I guess like after I have my acute certification, I guess that would be kind of a good jumping off point to kind of open for business. But
Yes.
As far as chronic issues, I would love to try to help people with that. And even though I don't have that certification yet, is that still okay to charge for? But just, like you said, make it a really like a cheaper price.
I treated chronic and acutes the same because for me, they kind of took the same amount of time sometimes. Now, chronic for like sometimes older people took a long time, but you can get a child with like chronic. And I never charge based on age. Some people do that. I don't know. I just never really did that. A case is a case for me, even though kids are usually quicker. But like older people, as long as like you can kind of control them, they'll tell you all about different things. For me, as long as I can just focus on things that need to be helped that month, you can kind of get through it faster. But I definitely would recommend having a certificate on your wall before you start charging. I think that's a good way to go, because you just feel it seems more official to people. Because and I did that too, I would help people for free. Hey, you got a cough? Let me help you with this or that,
Yeah,
But
exactly.
and tell people you have to pay for your school, you have to pay for the remedies. There's things you have to pay for, and people usually they want to pay you. When you get to that
People
point.
have tried to pay me, and I'm like, no. You're
Yeah.
not going to pay me for this. Maybe one day, but not
Yeah.
yet.
So right now they just see that you have a good heart, you want to help, and that's what people want to see. They'll trust you more if you start, and just say help, when you first kind of get your certification, and let me know, Ashley, when you get it, because I need somebody else after, because I've had Rebecca Williams. Let me just tell you guys how quickly you can get filled up if you study homeopathy. So Rebecca Williams just got her acute certification. Okay, she got her office set up, she had her machine. She's been with me for like a year or two. So she kind of knows how things work. She knows how to muscle test. She knows the emotion code. Now you don't have to know emotion code. That's just something extra. But and she said to me, okay, well, it was a really cool story, because at first I didn't send her clients in the spring because she was working full time as a teacher. So I was like, well, I don't really want to send her anybody because she's not gonna have time. She's got 5 kids. So I didn't send really that many people her way. Now she told me that this fall she's not going to have a job. She's not going to be, teaching anymore. And so all of a sudden, just like I thought, okay, I'm going to put a post up about her. So I did this post on Facebook, and I started she gave me her business card. So I started just giving it out to people. And she filled up in 2 months. So not like filled up like I am. I think she's just doing it like 3 days a week. But, she filled up really quickly, and she said to me at the end of it, I'm like, hey, do you still need me to send you more people? I've sent you a lot of people. And she's like, actually, no, I was just about to ask you to please stop, because I'm getting quite a few people now, and she's charging, her prices are lower, just like mine were. And so I'm stopping sending her people. Now she's going to build from there. I'm excited for her. She's really happy. Now I got another girl who's coming up, Allison Preston. She just finished her primary certification. She's still going to continue on, same thing. Got her machine, does emotion code, got her little office set up. Now I just started sending her people. So once she gets full, I need somebody else to send.
Okay.
Them too.
Well, I think I'll be ready at that point.
So if you're ready, you just let me know when you feel ready. And kind of, for me, that's the checklist. I have, you have to have a good access to remedies. You have to have a decent little office. You have knowing how to do emotion code is an extra, but you need to know how to muscle test. If I feel like you're a good person, you have a good heart, and you're smart, and you want to help people, then that's really all you need. And just, hit the ground running.
Okay. One more question.
Yeah.
So with my family, because I've done this for a long time. I've done it for myself and my family for a long time. And so a lot of times when I have got an acute case with my family, it's just, I don't even sit there and write down symptoms. It's like I just kind of notice them, and in my head I kind of just know what, and so I'll pick out a few and we'll muscle test, and we usually find the right one, and they're better. But to sit down and take actual cases, sometimes I get like, how many symptoms for an acute case do you focus on? Because sometimes I'll get to where I think there's a limit, like you can get too many and
Yeah.
there's no need in, repertorizing. So
Mhm.
for you, is it just like 3 or 4 symptoms or?
Yeah. Yeah, so like if I'm focusing, like I said earlier, on a sinus infection that's draining into the lungs with a cough, I focus on, okay, what kind of sinus infection? So I'm going to look at what color is the mucus. So that I might look up in my program. Now, Ashley, I've talked about this before. There's a good program called Synthesis. You can get it. It's an app. I highly recommend it. If you're going to go into business too. That's part of the checklist. I would almost have to say everybody needs that app because it's so good. You can get it for $100. It's Synthesis English. And I would look up pretty much if that kind of case came in, I'd look up nose discharge green. That says green mucus. So that'd be my first symptom I'd look up. Then I'd look up, okay, let's say it is, I'd look up a little bit about the cough, even though I'm focusing on the discharge. But you want to kind of get something that can hit kind of both things a little bit. And then I might look up, like, let's say it's really thick. You might look up nose discharge thick. Or it's really just constant. You might look up nose discharge constant. So try to take, 3 or 4 really good indicators of that case. Look it up. Now, sometimes for like acutes, I just use like Dr. Homeo is great, or Joette Calabrese's website. I mean, Dr. Homeo, if I just used his for like flus and sinus infections, I wouldn't even need to repertorize in my program because they have such good suggestions that take care of most everything. He's got ones for strep. He's got all kinds of different ones for coughs and stuff like that. But yeah, just focus on 3 or 4. Now, chronic case, you're going to do probably a little bit more than you're going to do 4 or 5 or 6 for that. And if you want to, Ashley, I did another class. I can send that to you too, more on like chronic cases.
Okay.
Just last month, and I can send you that. You can purchase that video too.
Yes, in my email, I mentioned that I'd love to purchase that recording so that I can go do that.
You'd benefit
because
from
I need
that one.
help with that for my family. I really want to try to help my mom start. Hers would be a great place to practice on, and I'd love to have a little bit of guidance with that to get started with her.
Yes, that would be good. Okay, let me go through. Marissa, you sent me a question here about the book I showed you guys, the Homeopathic Remedy Relationships. I don't know if you remember that book. It's a blue and white book. Oh boy, where did I put it now? Okay, I'll send you a picture of that one. Okay, and then she also asked a question about she's treating a 10-year-old boy who is ADHD and trying to help. She said his issues all started after vaccination. She told so the mom wanted to give them something, and she said recommended Thuja, which is a vaccine detox. She went and got Thuja 1M and gave it to him every day for a week or so. Then she told me that he got worse, more fidgety, and ADHD has been stealing sweets and lying even more. Marissa said, I want to start with polyvaccinations with him as well as Thuja and some other remedies, but she could not get them. Okay, well, first of all, I wouldn't start with a Thuja 1M.
Well, that's all she could get.
It's all she could get. I still wouldn't even, I don't know if I'd start there. If
Well,
that's all
I just told her Thuja, and that's what she got.
That's what she got. Okay.
I didn't really want to deal with it that way, but she says, what can I give him? And so anyway, but I feel like I probably just need to start from the beginning with him. And so would you, because he reacted, I guess I'm trying to figure out, because he got worse with the Thuja 1M, I don't know if it's because he had a higher potency and he took it every single day, or did it really, was it doing something, but the potency wasn't high enough, and I should have done,
I think I've even been told by Willa, when you, even a 30C every day in a chronic case can aggravate.
Right.
That's good to remember. So that's why, like, when I recommend 30C to people for whatever reason, unless it's sickness, then it's different. A chronic stuff, you don't really want to give anything more than a 30C every other, or more, less than every other day, more often than that, unless they muscle test for it.
Mm-hmm.
Then that's different. If they know how to muscle test, they're like, yes, I'm really good at muscle testing, and I know that that's what I'm testing for, then go ahead. Then you know that's what the body needs. But I wouldn't do a 1M that often. I remember my youngest daughter, we did some teething stuff with her, and I gave her a 1M like every day. Or was teething stuff. Anyway, it made her way worse because she had gotten aggravated. Now explaining to people what an aggravation is kind of interesting, because I always use the analogy of you're flooding the engine of a car. So imagine you've started a car, like what would have been best for her to do. I wouldn't say the 1M, but if she started at a 30C and did like every other day, every few days, just space it out a little bit.
Okay.
So like you're kind of, the car's already started and you're just turning the key again and again. So it's not going to damage the engine permanently, but it can flood it so that it's not you're going to see different things coming up. And so I would definitely back off, have her go down in potency and space it out a little bit more.
No, but would you just, because it's been several weeks now, and I need to, now that Thanksgiving is over, I need to respond. And so would you just like start and do, because I've been reading that book, the Fighting Fire with Fire. Do you start with like poly vaccines or something, and maybe one other remedy, and then I would just send it to them.
Yeah.
I don't think I want her buying stuff.
Yeah. I
And
would send it.
and then just start like with 2 remedies. I mean, because I know you give a whole bunch, and I'm just a little bit.
Well, to start, I usually give like 3, 2 or 3. If to like very start, especially if it's like a vaccine injury, and I don't know the person very well, I'm not going to give a ton of them on their first visit. Now, in your case, is different, Marissa, because I treated your family. You guys have been using homeopathy for years, so
Yeah.
I don't feel as hesitant. But somebody like that who's kind of new and their child's vaccine injured, I might just go a little bit slower.
Oh, okay.
I would do 2 remedies, 30C every other day.
Oh,
and you could,
okay. So you wouldn't do it once a week like you do. Okay.
No, because if it's that low and you haven't muscle tested them, usually it's pretty safe to do it every other day. And then maybe after 2 or 3
muscle
weeks.
test over the phone?
Well, you can. Yeah.
I do that.
Yeah. You can.
Okay.
You can do that. But yeah, so do that, and then go up in potency after 2 to 3 weeks. That's fine.
And then go up. And so the thing is, it's just like it says in the book. That's what you do, is you just keep going up, right?
Going up,
with the same remedy.
Yep, the same
Before
remedy.
You introduce another one.
I don't necessarily agree with that. Sometimes people, when they come back the next month, I'll muscle test them for those same remedies, thinking, their body's just going to want to go up in that one. Sometimes the body does not. It doesn't want anything to do with that remedy anymore until a couple months later. And to me, and I see that pattern happening over and over again. To me, that's kind of like the body saying, okay, I've painted for a whole month in the house of renovation. I'd rather do some nailing now. I'm tired of painting. So the body likes to switch gears a little bit. And that's why I do sometimes with my dosing. I don't follow that same remedy like Tone Jansen does. I switch it a little bit. But I mean, either way, I'm sure the body's going to respond.
Okay. Now, so I noticed you don't follow. What are your thoughts on his method of the way he does it, with 1 week, you have one potency, or for the first 2 weeks, and then the next 2 weeks, another potency, and then would you do it that way? Because you usually give things for 4 weeks.
Yeah. I like his method. I think I got some of the ideas of the whole 2 weeks and then go up from him, and just also seeing from my own clients, I agree with that.
Okay.
I don't like the whole just keep following it through until you're done, because some people don't need it anymore, or some people just like their body wants to switch gears. So So for me, like, you just follow whatever the body wants. You just always kind of muscle testing, trying to accommodate what the body needs.
So the bottom line is muscle testing.
Muscle testing is
each time to see where it wants to go. Okay.
Exactly.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, I have a couple messages here in the chat room from Tracy Sawyer. She said, I'm confused with proving. I haven't seen one. I take Thuja each morning to relieve early morning thick phlegm. It works great, but now I'm seeing warts. Thuja destroys warts. Could I be proving it for warts? Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Tracy's right there. Yes, you could be. I wouldn't do that anymore. You might have phlegm from change in temperature if it's in the morning, or allergies. So you might need to work on those remedies for yourself instead. Yes, I definitely stop taking that every day. Okay, next one. Danielle Prigg says, what are the best machines to purchase? I like Dynamis. That's just because that's the one I have, and it works. So Dyna is called Dynamis Remedy Maker, Dynamis. Now Marissa has one she really likes. What's the name of yours, Marissa?
Well, I actually have two machines. The one I probably would recommend is the Sulis one, but the problem is getting it shipped to the United States. It's cheaper, and it let's see, they have 3 levels of machines. The one that only makes remedies and nothing else is about $500, and then the one that can copy remedies is, I think, about 900 or 1,000, and then they have one that can make combination remedies and that has an antidote reduction, and it does a bunch of different things, and that's $1,700. And I've been really impressed with their machines. But then I also have a Mantra, which is a computer that's attached to a computer program, and that's $5,000. So that's a real,
Yeah,
that's a real, yeah, exactly.
And I know that you can get a Zytoscan machine. Also, my naturopath has one that that can actually make remedies too. Now that's a little more expensive because they scan you, and there's actually Zytoscan machines that will scan for needs in homeopathy too. So her machine will sometimes, now it doesn't seem to pick up on the same way we do in muscle testing, but sometimes it'll be like, it'll come up with some remedies in her scan that I never thought of. Now they can be super expensive. I know they can be like $10,000. But if you wanted to include, like, I know you can make monthly payments, and if you wanted to include the scan as part of your practice, I know she charges like $90 a scan, and it'll take her maybe 20 minutes to do the scan and maybe like another 15, 20 to analyze it. But I think you have to pay a monthly fee, like $50. But you know, she makes decent amount of money and helps a lot of people. I'll sometimes just send people to her because
what is that machine?
It's called Zyto, Zyto. Now I know they were having a really big Black Friday sale right now where they're like $3,000 off or 30% off right now. So if you want to look into theirs, I've thought about it many times. If they were cheaper, I would definitely get one, because those scans can sometimes pick up on stuff I never would have thought about. The one time I think I was having some digestive stuff, and she picked up on a certain type of worm that I had in my body. And once I knew the name of the worm, I could address it homeopathically, but until I knew what it was, I had no idea what I was dealing with, because I tried everything, all the remedies, you know, that I could think of. So those kind of machines are a really good way to add on to your practice. Another way to add on to your practice is the emotion code, obviously. That's what I do, and a lot of you know that already. But that's a great add-on. You know, extra doses. So like if you go away, what I do for my clients, let's say you're going to go away for a few weeks, and all of a sudden your meetings with people become not 5 weeks, but they become 8 weeks. Offer extra doses, you know, for people. You can actually sell remedies. So I have another client that if you get a remedy maker, another way of income could be selling remedies for people. So I know a client, and it's a pretty amazing story. she told me straight up from the beginning, she didn't want to be a homeopath, even though she's really good at it. So, but she'd been having a lot of like loves making these remedies. And so I said, hey, would you be interested in being my go-to client to make remedies? I could send people to you. She's like, yeah, actually, I would love that. We need money. We need extra money because she's a homeschooling mom. So I think in the first month, because I had her doing that, you know, that COVID remedy, which is a great one that's called Qvir or Prevengovir. It's got the combination of like the top 8 COVID remedies. So you got your Bryonia, Arsenicum, Gelsemium, all those in there. So anyway, I got that, and then I sold her a copy of it. Well, I sold her some of it, and then she made with her remedy machine just a bunch of them and sold them to people for a really cheap price. I think $10. If you want to buy them online, which you could hardly ever find them anymore, they were like 25. So I said, make them 10. That's a good price. And she made $7,000 in 1 month. Yeah, just making remedies. Now her business has since slowed down, you know, but she was crazy busy that month sending out orders. Then she charged $5 for shipping. And she made the remedies with that machine. So that machine that she paid $1,000 for had, you know, already paid for herself within the first 4 days of owning it. So that's why I really think machines are the way to go, because you could spend a lot on remedies. I literally have 3 or 4 bags of remedies in my kitchen that I don't even use because they're just ones that I bought thinking I would need them, and I just don't. So you're going to find remedies you're just not going to even use. And so I'd rather just be able to do that. Yeah, Jay?
Yeah, we use I have a Copen Labs one, and it's similar to the mantra. If people look into Bruce Copen, they'll see something about him. There's one that's in Germany that they actually use the phone, and you can make it straight from your phone. The Copen Labs one, they're trying to come up with a software right now that once you buy the Copen Labs, we have the MK12, and then we bought this, which is 2000 something. You can do it manually, but then we asked him to also include the computer program, which brought it up to about $5,000. And so I can make the remedy, get the code from it from my computer program. I can share that, you know, code with other people, you know, depending that way. Also, you can work it manually if you want to. And it's also, it has things like I'd show you if I could. It's got these like handheld things you can do. You get a person's, and it will scan a body as well. Nice. And so, and it can go into like, they have remedies on there that, like, I had a little middle ear infection, and I just used that code, programmed it, you know, into some pellets, and I took it for a couple days. Middle ear infection was gone. And so it can actually be pretty detailed for you without just using homeopathy itself as well.
Yeah, nice.
So
I got Tracy's asking to the group. She said, I did get the Dynamis remedy maker recently. If anyone needs remedies near Lindale, I don't mind helping. And she said, I work with Nature's Sunshine Herbs, and my naturopathic wants me to get the Zytoscan so I can treat people in the Lindale area because she's too busy. She loves it, had it more than 10 years. Yeah, so you can get Zytoscan if you want to just scan for more like supplements and not homeopathic stuff. So try to figure out if people have a virus, if they have weakened small intestines, or, you know, different things like that. I think they're cheaper. I think they're like 2,000 or 3,000 instead of 10. But yes, thank you for the heads up.
With the remedy maker, so if I get one that I can duplicate and copy, can I make potencies, or does it have to always stay the same one as that I copied?
Nope, you can change the potency.
Okay.
So I would, if I bought, like, let's say there's some from Helios that I can't make. So like when you buy Dynamis, you get a book of codes. a lot of codes. So like hundreds of them. So with pretty much every remedy and more in there, some I would probably never use. But so let's say I didn't have some of the polyvaccine ones from Helios that they have. So I ordered, polyvaccine, the 30C. Now that I have that remedy, I can copy it into LMs. I can copy it into a 200C or, LM 1000, whatever I want to do. As long as you have the remedy, you can make whatever you want from it.
Okay, so let's say I have the remedy, I'm ready to copy it. How do I change the potency?
Well, you just copy it. So you put there's two little bowls. You put the one you want to copy in the top. So you're like, I'm copying from this top one. And then you put the blank pellets in the bottom. And then you're going to just zero out all your numbers. And where it says potency, then you just change it. So let's say you want to make an LM 1000. So those are the only two knobs you're using, LM 1000. And then you just hold it down, hold the button for 3 seconds, and that's it.
So instead of putting in the frequency, I'm actually putting in the bottle.
You're putting in the bottle or the actual pellets themselves. Now I have my client, Sarah, she does it where she puts them in little glass bowls. I think that's what they say in the Dynamis to do. So either way, we'll do the job. All right, but doing homeopathy, my husband, I remember him saying to me, you'll never make a dime doing that. And I was like willing to prove, I was like, I'm going to prove you wrong. People are going to love this and people are they need it. And it's true. I mean, it's a wonderful profession to go into because you're going to be able to make good money for your families. I make more than my husband does now. He has a PhD, he's a professor, and I work less. And it's funny because when we go visit like friends of ours, I remember them saying something, oh yeah, Wilson, you must make good money. He's like, no, my wife, she makes more than I do. And she works half as much. And honestly, my prices are lower than any other homeopath you're gonna see. And I believe that's because of the muscle testing, because we're giving more remedies, we're giving higher potencies. If people, they're just responding to it like really strongly. So I think also to get it, getting yourself out there. Facebook has helped a lot too. When you have social media, post testimonials. I don't know if you saw on my Facebook, my homeopathy learning group, when you have a success story, post it. I always post homeopathic, or I'll say client testimonial. And I'll have, if the person can write it, even better. Sometimes people are like, well, I don't even know what to say. Then I'll sometimes write it for them. And then I'll send it to them and check it over. I'll say, hey, is this okay if I post this? And they're like, yeah, that's great. And I always have them send me a picture, make sure they know where I'm going to post it. I'm just going to post it in my homeopathic learning group. Is that okay with you? Yes. That's actually how my business grew the most. When people hear stories of people that look like good, decent people, like people just like them, and they see success with what it can do, that's when you're going to get clients. And that's when you're going to start to get a waiting list, and you're going to start getting really busy because people want to be healed. They don't want to suffer. Nobody does. And if there's a way out that they didn't know about, or it's cheap and it's easy and it's fast and it's effective, they're going to want it. So as long as you just keep making that known to them in different ways. And I remember my homeopath who treated me, one thing he was not good at was selling himself. He didn't really need to though. He was an older guy, been doing it for 30 years. He was making a good living. You got to kind of be good at selling yourself a little bit, not in an arrogant way, but in just like, look what homeopathy can do. Elisa, do you have a question? Is that a raised hand?
Yes, that is.
Okay. I was like, she's giving me a high five. I saw a little hand up there.
Yes, I had a question. So like, I'm studying like with Melissa classical, and to me, like what she does is totally opposite of like what I hear you do. So how do classical and what you do, like how does it even go together?
Right. Well, for me, the classical just gave me the knowledge of the remedies and how to look at a chronic, or how to look at any case, I guess, and try to piece it together. It's kind of like every person's a puzzle, and you're trying to figure out what pieces do I need to put down first? And how do I need to, do this and that? So there is no school really right now that teaches this method, not that I know of. Kyron, the guy who taught me through experience, told me when I first started studying, because I said, where should I go to study? He said, go to a classical school. They're going to give you a good foundation. But he said, you're going to get there and they're going to think you're crazy because you muscle test and you're going to do high potencies. You're going to do multiple remedies. They're not going to understand you, but take the knowledge anyways. And I can tell you that through the training, that's why I finished it with Willa, because I did learn a lot. It wasn't like I was just going through the motions and jumping through hoops to get to the end and get a certificate on my wall. I did learn a lot. She helps you read the case really well and know the remedies and understand them.
For sure. I would definitely agree on that. I like some of them are like burned into my mind. I don't think I'll ever forget them.
Right. That's awesome.
For sure. I was just curious how you like got it in, because like just studying normal homeopathy, I would never guess that you could do multiple ones at once or like such high potencies unless since I've used them.
Yeah, this method is kind of a mixture of some different methods and some new things too that I learned from Kyron and just experience. So it's a mishmash of things. Yeah, Marissa, did you have a question?
Yeah, I had a question really. I mean, I don't know if this is an awkward question or what, but I did one set of clinicals with Willa, and now another set, and now I have another week or so to decide if I want to do the January ones, and I'm trying to figure out, is that a good place to put my money? I mean, I have all the courses, all 6 modules from Caduceus. So, and then if I'm kind of doing stuff with you right now, is there a place or value, because you've been through the clinicals, I'm sure. You do clinicals?
I did all of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you feel like it's worth the time and money? I was a little frustrated when I went through the first set of clinicals because Willa and I butted heads constantly on what the remedies were. And because I was using muscle testing to confirm it, and the ones she was recommending did not muscle test strong. So, but I couldn't tell her, well,
yeah, I know.
that. But so I was a little bit frustrated, but I'm just trying to figure out if there's value in keep pursuing all these clinicals with her.
Well, I got, when I got my second certificate, I thought to myself, okay, I have, I'm certified in the foundations of homeopathy. Went through the first, 5 or 6 modules. And I thought, do I need to continue? And I kind of went back and forth. And I think for me, I was still getting something out of it. And I wanted to have that final certificate. And I just thought to myself, if I want to write a book someday, because I feel like this method is so unique that it really, I think it helps a lot of people, and it really should be spread as much as possible. And if me not having finished my 500 hours is going to be an obstacle in the future to someone who, and I think what happened for me was I was talking about something on Facebook with vaccines with somebody. And they said, oh, what do you know? And I said, well, I'm a homeopath. Where did you go to school? This person was like, we were kind of debating. I don't do that anymore. But anyway, I got into it and I should have. Where did you go? And they looked it up. They said, oh, you only finished this part. You didn't even finish the whole thing. You're not a professional homeopath. It was like really childish. This person, I blocked him and unfriended him and everything. But anyway, that to me was like, I want to, if I'm going to go and start something, I just want to finish it. And I want to get everything I can out of it and say that I've done that 500 hours. So if someday I want to take the CCH exam, some of you might know what that is, the Certified Classical Homeopath exam. I could do that right now. I could take that exam and get that CCH next to my name. I don't know if I need that right now because, but if I want it in the future, I can do that.
Now, do you need all those clinical hours to take the exam? That was my other thing, is can I just finish the modules and take the exam and forget the clinicals?
No, you need, because you can't do your practicum without your clinicals finished. And you can't get your 500 hours without the practicum. So you need it all. Yeah.
You need it.
I would do it. She might do better the next time.
She might do better this time.
Just let her, I would just try not to butt heads with her, just try to just sit there and listen and give some feedback.
Oh yeah, no, but she like, she reviews and comments on all the, the reports that you put in, and every single one of them has been, it's all been negative.
You'll get used to her. You'll get used to her. I remember it wasn't until my last clinical that she started like, yeah, you're right. Or you have a good point, giving me good comments. At first it was just kind of, well, no, that's not right. And do make sure you do this and that.
Exactly. That's exactly what I was getting. And so I'm thinking, am I just wasting time and money doing that?
No, I think.
But if you think I should, then
I think you should keep going. If you're gonna, she does have some. She will really. I learned a lot from different cases with her.
You did. Okay, so there is benefit.
Stuff that I still use to this day.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Anybody else? We got a few minutes left. All right, good. Well, good. So the next seminar I'm going to do is going to be, well, because I'm going to Brazil for a while, so it's going to be 1/19, so January 19th. I'm going to try an evening one just because I don't have any daytimes available right now for that, at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. So mark it in your calendars if you want to. And then what I'd like to do is maybe one more course after that. And then I might switch over to doing a few beginners courses for people once a month. I've had a lot of people just wanting to know some beginner stuff. So
what about some clinicals?
Some clinicals, I could try that. I know,
Would
right?
they count?
No, they wouldn't count with me.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As I'm really close to being done with module 1.
Mm-hmm.
And should I go ahead and start setting up the business side of it, like, the LLC and all that kind of stuff now, or do you wait till you start seeing people?
Yeah, I would get all that set.
Okay.
Start working on it.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, I will, if you want to have this recording for your own purposes, let me know. Just message me and I can send it to you. So I'm going to process this recording. And if you know anyone that would benefit from purchasing it, then also let me know. But I wish you guys all the best in your studies and a Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thanks for hosting this.
Definitely. My
Thank
pleasure.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Bye, guys. Nice to see you, Elisa, in person.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll have fun.
Yeah.
You guys take care. All right. Bye.